Hi, this is Steve from LZ23 Strength. This is where we exert ourselves, we elevate our health, and we evolve in mind and body. I'm glad you tuned in today. Today we're going to be talking more of a mental topic and something that starts in our minds. And we're going to deal with the subject about leaning into our strengths and trying to thrive in the uncomfortable. So we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses, things that are uncomfortable for us, but how can we use them to improve our health, to make it optimal, and to increase our health span and lifespan as we move forward? Give you just an example for myself. One of my strengths during my 61 years on this planet has been with physical things. I was always very good at sports. And from a young age, about 12, 13, I started lifting weights and never looked back. I love all things related to weightlifting, powerlifting, bodybuilding, and it's always been part of my life to the point where even now we go on vacation. My wife might get a little annoyed, but I want to know what kind of gym is at the hotel, or is there a gym nearby wherever we're staying, or how am I going to get some good workouts in? Maybe less than normal, but at least to keep in shape while we're on vacation. So that's a strength. Uncomfortable or weaknesses. Actually, before I move on from that, something that I wish I would have done this, heard this talk that I'm giving or speech that I'm giving, motivation that I'm giving. I never learned to swim, and I regret that. It's something uncomfortable. Is it too late to learn? Probably not. It's not high on my list right now, but you never know. I might surprise you one day. But it's something that, as good as I was at sports and good at lifting, I never learned to swim, and I regret that. Another area that's a weakness that we'll talk about a little bit is I've mentioned many times how fussy I am. So my eating, even though I know what I should be doing, it's hard to follow through. So that's one of my weaknesses. So there are going to be things in life that are we're good at. There's going to be things that we're not comfortable. And in the area of not being comfortable, we're trying to explore today the idea of attacking those things, digging into them, and seeing what we can do. Um, I know there was an instance of something at work. One fella always used to take care of this one area in our shipping, and then all of a sudden I was thrust into it, and I always thought he did phenomenal at it, and I thought, boy, I was uncomfortable. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but as I got into it, I was okay. I was pretty good at it. I don't know if I was at his level at times, maybe, but it was something that I was a little scared of, uncomfortable. But as I did it, my confidence grew, and I got pretty good at it. So a lot of things can happen like that in life. There may be things that we shy away from. We're uncomfortable with it. We don't like it. But if we immerse ourselves in it and have a growth mindset that this is going to help us grow, you never know. Maybe a weakness can turn into a strength, or at least a fear and anxiety can turn into, well, this isn't so bad, and we can embrace it and try to make it work in our favor. Now the key, same thing. It might turn out that, well, no, we're still not good at it. We don't like it, and we're going to give up on it. But the key is we can never allow that to be in our four pillars. Our number one pillar is our exercise, working out, walking, movement. We never give up on that. Pillar number two is our sleep, and certainly that's vital at all ages. Pillar number three is our diet and nutrition. And then fourth is our family relationships, friendships, sense of purpose. If we have a weakness or we're uncomfortable in any of these areas, that's something that we're never going to push that away and give up on that. We're always going to keep trying, because those four pillars are really what's going to help us to have a good lifespan, longevity, but even more so, our health span can be optimal, and how we live our life, that we're mobile in our 70s and 80s and able to enjoy life, go on vacations, and be able to hike and do the things that we like to do. Maybe you're a gardener, whatever it is. That's when we're talking health span, 70s, 80s, 90s. We want to be able to function independently. So we never give up on doing those. We want to try to make those as optimal as we can and get better in these areas. So as I mentioned, exercise, working out, that's always been a strength for me. But there's areas that I can improve upon in the cardio realm, VO2 max. I'm sure you may or may not have seen my video on the Norwegian 4x4. Definitely could improve in there, and I'm working at it. So there's always something that we can improve upon. Also, mobility. As much training as I do, and I feel I have good mobility. 61. Who knows in 10 years, 15 years, I need to keep working at that to be mobile. We don't want to fall, and we want to be able to walk the stairs, carry groceries, hike, get on an airplane, do all sorts of things that involve our mobility. Just getting in and out of a car for some folks is pretty difficult. We don't want that to be for us. So even though it's my strength, I want to hit all aspects of it. Same thing with sleep. I do way better now with sleep than the past 30 years of my life or my adult life. But is it at its optimal where I would love it to be? No. I can still do better, and getting to where I got of it being the best that it's been in 30 plus years, maybe 40 years, it took knowledge. I had to learn what was I doing wrong, things that I didn't understand, and then a lot of effort and changes. Got to be willing to make changes. So as we're doing this, again, education in all these areas, we can't just drift along. The majority of people nowadays just kind of drift along, hoping and wishing that things are going to go well. Hoping and wishing is great in movies and songs, but it's not practical for real life. It might get us through a dark time or dark period a little bit, but action and knowledge and acting on that knowledge, that's going to propel us and help us to progress. So when it comes to sleep, we want these 4 pillars to be, use the term superpowers of ours. The more we can dial in these 4 pillars, the better our health span and longevity in general will be. So getting to our diet and nutrition, no one's going to look at my diet and nutrition and say, wow, I want to emulate that or imitate that. But personally, it's the best it's ever been, so that's kind of sad. But when you're as fussy and picky as I've been my entire life, it's challenging. But again, I'm constantly listening to podcasts, reading articles, learning what I can to see what little things adjustments I can make. In general, I could take the knowledge that I have and put a game plan together, but I know I won't stick with it. And adherence, we always talk about here, is vital for anything that we're doing. So the diet and nutrition, I got to keep working at that, even though that's probably one of the most uncomfortable things for me. I'm not great at trying new foods, and a lot of things that are healthy just doesn't, I don't appreciate, but I'm working at it. And that's one of the things that we have the opportunity. We're alive and we have the opportunity to make changes. So we got to be excited about that. Disappointed when we're not measuring up to even our own standards in some of these areas. But the fact that we're alive and we have an opportunity to make changes, that's a key. And again, it goes back to our mind. What we can imagine, what we believe, what we learn, these are all things that are going to affect what we do, giving us our strategies, what we think about. And we need to think about these things. And as I mentioned before, I think a lot of people are just kind of drifting along from one activity to the other, just trying to get through the day. It has to give some focus to these areas and some thought. I don't know if I mentioned it in the previous video. I possibly did, so I'm sorry if you heard this, but there's a study that was published, and 70-year-olds there's such a high percentage, somewhere between 70-80% of 70-year-olds and older, who literally give no attention to health. They don't think about it. They don't act upon it. They just kind of feel, I am where I am, and what's going to happen is going to happen. That's to me, that's no strategy, and you're gambling with how things are going to turn out. And more now, as I'm doing this channel, I observe more and more people, and I'm shocked at what I see. So if you take a look around, it might inspire you or motivate you to look at yourself as well. That's what I'm trying to do with myself, and I want to be an example to my family and friends and others, coworkers, to you folks. So we're gonna keep pushing that. And the final pillar that we talk about is our family relationships, friendships, having a sense of purpose. Ultimately, I feel that most of my life this was dialed in pretty good, but it's fascinating now that I'm getting older. It is slightly challenging in different ways. My sense of purpose, that's rock solid, but relationships, I could do better. So I want to work on that, and I feel I could easily make that not only a strength, but a super strength. That pillar can be in place. So it's important to make changes, be willing to make changes, to realize that we need to make changes. Have you ever looked at yourself and says, I really need to change this, or maybe I should change my diet, change my workout, change how I treat other individuals or look at other individuals? We have to first identify that there's a need to change, and then to take in some knowledge in those areas and get in the game. Get in the game. This is, so many people are drifting along. They're basically in the bleachers, standing on the sidelines. Don't let that be you. Get in the game. And these four pillars, it's going to make a world of difference, and you'll be so much happier that you did. Your older self will thank your younger self. Now, when we're talking about leaning into strengths, I asked Mr. Google, and he said this regarding leaning into strengths: identifying your personal strengths, and then from that, creating healthy habits, overcoming challenges that we might be facing, building energy, can help us to have better confidence, better performances, and just a greater overall satisfaction in life. So sometimes we have a strength and we just kind of take it for granted. We just let it play out how it plays out. But if we really lean into it, it could spill over and affect other areas of our life. And everything that we can do to elevate our strengths and those four pillars is going to be in our benefit. So think about, are you adaptable? Well, if that's one of your strengths, then your workouts, you can adjust and do all the things that are necessary, from walking to weightlifting to VO2 max. Maybe you're very responsible. Well, same thing, you can create a routine that you're going to stick to. Maybe you're very social. Well, in your relationships, that's going to go a long way in keeping the family close, building strong friendships, having that sense of purpose in life. So dig into those strengths that you have, lean into them, and cultivate them so that they're not just a strength, but you're elevating them to the highest level, so that it helps you even in other areas. Kind of create a strength-based mindset, so you can shift your focus and maybe get the weaknesses to come up along with that. And in that regard, being uncomfortable, I've talked about it before, I don't remember which episode, but there's a book out there called The Comfort Crisis, and sometimes we all fall into that boat where we just try to be as comfortable as possible all the time. But we need to realize that comfort, being uncomfortable, helps us to grow as people. And whatever area of life we're trying to incorporate that in, we need that to be part of our growth mindset. We want to embrace new challenges, and if we embrace being uncomfortable, And we're not talking about massive things. There's small stressors that we can face each and every day, and it's going to build resilience in us. Sometimes we don't have a choice. There's some major challenge that's put upon us just by being alive here in 2025. But it's not necessarily the big challenges that are going to build that resilience. It's on a daily and weekly basis, things that we have to tolerate, put up with, be uncomfortable with. Those are the things that can build our inner strength and build resilience in us. So even simple things like, I'm not a fan of the cold. So doing cold plunge, a lot of people are into that. I'm not into that, but something maybe I need to explore. I love saunas and hot, so that's pretty easy for me. But some people might not like that either. So these are areas that, in a health realm, might be uncomfortable, but we lean into them. Maybe we can get used to them and like them. They'll be healthy for us. Even in relationships, just kind of stretching out a little bit. Maybe there's some people at work. All we do is, hey, morning, give a nod and say good morning. But how about trying to have a conversation with them, maybe during lunch or some other time? Stepping out of our comfort zone and doing those things is it's going to help us to grow. Again, having the growth mindset. It's being uncomfortable is the key. We need to embrace discomfort as a necessary ingredient to grow. And if we want those four pillars to be as strong and being strengths for us, sometimes we might have to go through moments or periods of discomfort. Really successful people, they understand that the path to mastering something, or to just mastery in general, is paved with discomfort. So if we want to be known as a person whose diet is something that other people would imitate, well, we have to dig into that as far as making that a strength and seeing how we can get over struggles that we might have, like me. That's something that I need to explore. Comfort zones are places where dreams go to stagnate. So whatever we want to try to accomplish in having a healthy life, can't just dream about it. We have to take action. And when we stay in the confines of what's easy and safe, we're really robbing ourselves of the chance and opportunity to grow, to improve, and discover what we can be. So when we're talking about discomfort or being uncomfortable, really embracing that could be the spark to ignite growth. So we want to get that mindset out of our heads of everything. I want everything to be as easy as possible and to be as comfortable as possible. Progress demands that we step into uncharted territory. So again, being uncomfortable is what's going to help us to do that. And don't wait for readiness. Readiness can kind of be an illusion where we think, oh, when I'm ready, I'm going to do this or that. We need to take action. Waiting's rarely the answer, but getting in the game, as I mentioned earlier, make changes and lean into strength. And then in time, we'll see the growth and we'll build momentum. And certainly that's going to help us to expand in these areas, the four pillars. But these principles and ideas apply to all aspects of life. But we're focusing, obviously, here on this channel, we're focusing on our health span and longevity. So find what your strengths are, lean into them and cultivate them, elevate them, and that could spill over into other areas. And if things are uncomfortable, give them a chance. Don't automatically dismiss them for the easy, but try to evolve with the uncomfortable so that we can elevate our health. So I appreciate you watching. Remember that here we do exert ourselves, we elevate our health, and we evolve in mind and body. And the mental aspect of this, we need to think about these things, put a little focus and attention there. And as we do them, it's going to benefit us. You're going to be glad that you did. So please smash the like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe. And we'll look forward to talking about interesting things. Hopefully you find them interesting in the future. Have a great one, guys. girls. Take care.